I'm Jake here with another video on a German vehicle, as is of course the core content of my channel and my gameplay. This time it is the JagdTiger, and it's on the Overlord map, which is kind of fitting. German vehicle defending and trying to win a battle on Normandy. Now, I am here on the Overlord map. I am going to, I don't know what this T-30 is doing, but I'm actually already planning to go to the eastern portion of the map. I know a lot of tank destroyers will sit and try to play Overwatch roles guarding the heavies, but I actually am pausing for a second, looking at team deployment, making sure that this is good, and it's not. Watch the deployment. We are much too heavy on the western portion of the map. Like, draw a center line down the map. Look at how many vehicles total are east of, if you picture an imaginary line drawn directly down from the green base to the red base. Count the number of vehicles that are west. Count the number of vehicles that are east. We have 4 in the east. And personal opinion, and this is shared by a number of players, that the east is where this map is won. You would split that maybe half and half between the middle and the far east. As you can see, I got spotted coming up. Now, I am anticipating that somebody was there in the center next to the rock where there's some bushes, but it's probably the T-92, and because we have nobody middle, he's able to just kind of spot at will. He was probably actually sitting on the ledge at the very lower portion of, we'll say, D7. But the east is where you can control the upper ground. East and middle. Like here you see the char feuder for. The controlling this is important. And that's why I took even something such as a large, heavily armored tank destroyer like the JagdTiger up here east, because I need to be what you would call a force amplifier. We only have a couple of mediums, and already, you know, we've lost one over here, but we had 2 mediums and a light. Well, I need to bring some firepower over here to seriously help them. Now, I don't want to take early damage. Early damage ends up costing you later. The healthier your vehicle is, while having dealt early damage to the enemies, the more aggressive and even somewhat reckless you can be later in the game. And you'll see that here with this, because I'm conserving my hit points. Now, the JagdTiger has the hit points of a same tier heavy, and also has a very strong upper half. The whole superstructure on the front is very strong. Now, the lower half, that is lower plate and the upper hull plate on the very front, not counting the superstructure, is basically Tiger 2. So that's a tier 8 heavy. And while I actually consider the Tiger 2 to be decently armored, in a tier 9 battle it's not. So here you see me working the back side of a ridge, and no, I'm not going to get very specific on the details of the gameplay. I mean, you see me searching for shots on the mediums, hitting some, missing some. More of the misses are maybe a little bit of RNG and a lot of my own personal aim. As you see, working shots along ridge lines can be problematic. I do have the server reticle on, and even with that, as you see, when people just barely show a turret, sometimes your shots will eat the dirt more often than hit the target where you're aiming. And it doesn't matter how accurate the gun is. That's just a nuance of the game. So I'm not going to comment specifically about every shot, but as you see, I'm ready to back up. By angling back, even if I don't roll all the way back, by angling back, I'm accentuating the angle of the front armor as it is. And that actually was a pretty nice little snapshot. It was only half aimed. But JagdTiger is a very reliable weapon. I honestly think this is one of the best weapons of Tier 9. I mean, and the platform itself is also good, despite what some people say. You have workable armor, a amazing weapon. The accuracy, penetration, the damage per minute, the thing can be just monstrous. And so far we're losing the game. Poor team deployment, probably not the most capable players overall. Top tier heavy there, the T10, he sat on the base. It looked like he was late coming to the game. And then once he did come to the game, he went to the beach, which, just for a second, if you think the beach is useful, stop. It only becomes useful if you allow the enemies to make the beach useful. And what do I mean by that? If you don't put a tank on the beach, you didn't sacrifice the flank. You simply didn't sacrifice one of your tanks, or two of your tanks, or 5 of your tanks. You can defend the approaches coming up from the beach. As you can see, on the A row, the C row, and to the south, of course, then you have the H and K. There's 2 paths on the north side. There's 2 paths on the south side. This is well known. You can see it on the map. If you don't go down to the beach, that means the enemy has to come up to you. That means automatically they would be forfeiting a terrain advantage. So don't go down to their level. Play up above them. That seems very simple. Yet people will consistently go down on the beach. The beach, for most vehicles, does not offer any tactical advantage. But it can cause a loss in that, like I was talking about, our team was heavily outmatched in the east. And had I not personally went east, I wouldn't have 2,800 damage at this point already. And our mediums may have died. And then, with nobody in the east anymore, if I was over in the west, or forbid it, if I had went down to the beach, the mediums and light tank who had went to the east would have gotten killed quickly. The enemies wouldn't have been damaged that much, and then in turn, those fairly healthy enemies would have been able to roll around and then apply pressure from multiple directions on our team, which was very west biased. Well, if you can understand that, it's simple. Dedicating too many of your tanks to the beach will cause a loss on Overlord. Now, if you harken back to a memory of, oh, I won a game here on Overlord, and we went and pushed beach and it won. Okay, it's the same thing as a Lakeville Valley push. Just because it did work once doesn't make it a good idea. It's actually the worst tactical idea you could make, in both cases. And yes, I do see the VK slowly trundling in. I'm just looking for a shot on this one-shot killable AMX. As you see it green there, I should have been able to penetrate that. Then, yes, I did switch over to premium, and I'm turning just in time to get this VK. And turret ring shots are what I'm looking for. Didn't go exactly where I aimed, but now I'm going to push in. He actually has decent gun depression, and if he gets down into my lower hull, he's going to be able to penetrate every shot. As you can see here. And I need to place these shots, you know, very, very precisely. The VK is a very good armor profile, even for Tier 9 guns. But I do get the kill there. But speak of why I'm doing what I'm doing with this. Yes, I am playing very, very non-tank destroyer. I'm playing more like a medium or a heavy at all points here. And it's just simply what the team needed. Like, really, our RHM and T30 should be up here with me. This AMX is actually doing a very good job. The wiggling, that's probably the best French heavy in the entire game. Tier for tier. Maybe the Liberté. But the Tier 9 AMX M451 is probably the best French heavy you can get. Very good armor profile. Good gun as well. And capable all around. And that person obviously knew what he was doing, wiggling the turret back and forth, because with the premium I was firing, or even with standard, if I get a good solid shot on his turret, I can penetrate even the front, but it has to be a solid shot right to the turret cheek or to the cupola. Now, I actually spot the enemy JagdTiger because I run rammer, vents, actually in this order, vents, rammer, optics. Yes, I do run optics on this because, as you see, I'm wiggling and moving. I'm not a very stationary player with this. And by running that, as you can see, I am a heavily armored tank destroyer with also good view range. I am spotting these people. And getting here down to where it's looking like a fairly secure game at this point. I'm in a very good position, and that's all on me. I should have aimed further ahead. I was having to turn and wiggle because Scorpion had got some speed going, and now he's in behind a building. I should just plow in at this point. But what I'm thinking is, I don't know exactly where the enemy JagdTiger is. Now, as soon as he got spotted down there, now I move. I just don't want to take a shot from each of them. I can take one hit from one, but I can't take two hits. And I see the enemy JagdTiger is committing to go after our T-30, so that means I've already got the kill on the Scorpion. He just doesn't know it yet. Because all I'm going to do is pull around, line up the shot, I'll take the hit from him, and get the kill. Because he can't roll high enough to take me out even with the most perfect of damage. And even for his case, he rolled low. But that is a win with just a fraction under 7,000 damage. And as you'll see, it got me my second mark, the Ace badge, high caliber, all of that. I did fire a little bit of premium at the VK and a couple of tries on the EMX M451. But than that, a very solid game, not typical snipey tank destroyer. But I hope you enjoyed this, and thanks for watching.